What's up YouTube? Yes, I have made a video about omelettes. This is YouTube at its finest, there's no doubt about it. This is consumer advice and a real public service I'm providing here. The reason I wanted to make a video about omelettes is because, like you, I'm guessing, lockdown has been good to me in terms of time spent at home and spent in the kitchen. And so I used to only have like one or two different variants of omelettes that I would make, and I just looked into lots of different ways of making them. So I have compiled a list. It's by no means exhaustive. You can look forward to a second compendium of omelette making in the future. But this is a list of quite a few variants of how to make an omelette. Now, I don't need to teach you how to make an omelette. That's not what I'm here to do. I trust you can do that yourself. And the magical thing about them is that you definitely have your own specific way of making an omelette. And that's what I love about omelettes and how they can be such a great start to a day or your go-to comfort meal. This is my list of all the different variants that I've looked into, trialed over the past few months, just because that's what lockdown has done to me. Hey, you never know, you may see one that you want to try or had never seen before, or you may have a better version of one of these, and if so, let me know and feel free to share it, because I want to expand my horizons. Okay, a really good omelette, you know it straight away. And my favourite thing about going on holiday, when we can go on holiday again, is a good hotel breakfast where we had the privilege to have someone cook in front of us. It was show cooking at its best. Like a good hotel buffet breakfast, you would take up your fillings in a bowl to the chef, who probably didn't speak much of your language, and you would ask him in English or terrible Spanish to cook you an omelette. How lucky we were. What a time to be alive. But it always amazed me that they would always cook it slightly differently to how you would ever cook it. So I typically make mine with 3 to 4 eggs, at least 2 yolks, sometimes 2.5, 3 yolks. I will pre-grill my fillings and vegetables that go in there, typically tomatoes, peppers and mushrooms, either the night or the 2 days before, and then that gives me more time, as well as having some chilled cooked vegetables to add to salads or sauces at other times during the day. Fry light oil, obviously, to cut down on your butter and your oils in the actual pan, because that's just a waste of macros. I see it as it doesn't add much flavour, but it takes a lot of your fat macros. But that's personal preference. I've experimented with different hobs. Induction is quite good, and you do have a lot of control over the heat, but if you're looking at places to rent or to buy and it has a gas hob, go for that straight away. Electric, good luck. In terms of pans, I use 2 different types of pans to make my favourite types of omelettes. Okay, first up is this pan. This pan, which has a lid and a poaching device, which is very beneficial when you do want to change it up to poached eggs. It's very deep, as you can see, it's not that wide, so it gives you a good variation of some types of omelettes. Next up is the crepe pan. I use this because it's thin and wide, so it allows you to get a thinner spread of egg to be able to do some good folds. And also, as well as the thin folds, it cooks the eggs a lot more quickly when you're in a bit of a rush. I'm going to try and keep the egg cooking, as that is not the most glamorous thing to watch. I'm going to try and keep that down to a minimum. Hey, maybe it's going to be worthwhile, maybe it's going to be beneficial, who knows, but it's a passion project of mine. I wanted to get it out there. I hope you have some benefit from it. Okay, we're straight in, guys. And does anyone else test the heat of their pan by dripping and drawing a little bit of the egg mixture on, or is that just me? Anyway, this first one is going to be a thick sort of grill and fold, basically. So I'm using a small pan here to ensure that I get quite a good level of thickness, even when I do drain the egg from side to side. As you can see, that's what I'm doing. Rather than making a big mess and stirring it around, I'll just lift up the corners and drain it from side to side. That gives this extra layer, and then I start stroking the egg, as you can see, for some reason. Arrange your filling on one half of the pan, stick it under the grill for quite some time because it is a thick one if you're using a small pan like that. Bring it out and you'll see that it's risen up and you get those edges of where I had folded it over. Then just do the actual proper fold over, and because it's so thick it won't seal up, but that will give you some good texture there. Okay, so the traditional egg omelette, no filling in this one, just this is your super quick, make a mess in that pan, stir it around, keep it moving so it doesn't stick, keep going until some sort of omelette shape coagulates from the loose runny egg. Once it's cooked through to your liking and browned on one or both sides, it should come out the pan really easily, and then you're good to go. You don't really need me to explain any more about that one, for sure. This one I'm using a crepe pan, and it's what I like to call the fold and flip. So I'm arranging the filling in the middle here because I'm going to fold it twice over in that, and using the crepe pan allows me to get a thinner, wider and larger circumference of egg, giving me that chance to do that flip over to make sure that it seals up. So press the two sides together, get your fingers in there if you need to, seal it over, and then this is what I like to call the Spanish twist. Essentially it's how you'd make a Spanish tortilla when you get that lovely thick big circular omelette filled with potato. Essentially they just don't fold it over like I have. Flip it back into the pan, cook it there for a minute or two, slide it out, and you've got a lovely omelette parcel there. Just a word of caution, if you're using a smaller pan, don't overfill your omelette, because as you can see here, it won't seal up because there's too much there. And also don't do what I did here, which was rush the flip, because then some of the egg escaped out the side and I made a big mess of what should have been a perfect breakfast. This one is a little bit different. It's the poached one. We're going to crack the eggs very gently into that pan after spraying it with fry light and preserve those yolks as much as possible. The best tip for me for that is to keep your eggs in the fridge because it will help the yolks stay firm and solid. Put a lid on it and then on a very low heat, just watch the whites turn white, the yolks turn very yellow, and after about 7 or 8 minutes you can start checking on it. And what you're looking for is for those yolks like that just to start glazing over. And once you have that, the egg will be cooked through and it will slide, should be just about perfectly out of the pan, and it will give you that lovely cooked texture and solidity, but also the runny yolks that you would expect from a poached egg. So you get the best of both worlds with this one. Clearly I was hungry as there is a lot of vegetable on the plate there. Never mind. So what I'm going to do with this is, using a smaller pan, I'm going to make this as thick as possible, again by just lifting up the corners, lifting up the edges and giving those sort of levels to your omelette mix, because I'm going to be sticking this under the grill for a lot longer, and it's going to really rise because I'm going to leave a lot of that liquid on top. I'm not going to continue to drain it. So spread it out on top, and basically it's going to look like a pizza when it's finished. That's the idea. As you see, I've brought it out here and it really has risen up. It's a little bit burnt, but I like it that way, and the thickness of that omelette is so fantastic to enjoy. Okay, using a crepe pan for this one, what I'm going to be doing is making a really thin version of the first sort of folded in half omelette that I did, and obviously using the crepe pan gives me a thinner base and it gives me a wider chance to fold it in half, and I just find that a bit more enjoyable. So again, I'm draining it here side by side, and because it is spread so thinly I won't have to do that as much, so don't mind me while I just do a bit of patchwork on my egg
to seal up any holes. Once I've got most of the liquid cooked, add the filling to 1/2, and then after you've stuck it under the grill for a minute or two, the edges should be really loose like this, and you'll be able to fold it over. Don't worry about getting your hands and fingers involved. And then a bit like pastry, you're going to crimp the edges to seal it into a parcel, and it will slide straight out. Okay, if you're still with me, thank you very much, because there has been a lot of egg cooking in this video. This is our sort of, I'm going to say, a double fold, and it's going to be rolled up into a parcel basically like a fajita. So arrange your filling in 2 different sections, because the first thing we're going to do after it's cooked is fold one over to halfway of that egg, and then roll that over again to the second filling. And then that last edge there that's left is only going to be used to seal that omelette and its filling all in together, so you do essentially get like a fajita wrap of an omelette. Final one from me, guys, I promise, on this video at least. I'm using the deeper pan, draining it from side to side, and I like to think of this one as the most versatile one. I add the filling and then I use the lid to cook the top of the omelette rather than sticking it under the grill and potentially burning it. So it's risen up like the souffle one that I've shown you before, but you have the option to either serve it like that or to flip it over and serve it as a normal folded omelette for added texture. If you've made it this far, thank you. I am very appreciative of you watching me cooking eggs. Like I said, it's by no means an exhaustive list of omelette making. I'm not saying these are the only ways to make an omelette. You will definitely have little variants of maybe some of these, or ones completely different. I've left out some entirely. So maybe I'll make another one. I hope that whatever you're eating for breakfast, lunch or dinner, you can enjoy it as much as I enjoy making and eating these omelettes, because it gives you peace of mind knowing that not only are you hitting your targets with proteins, carbs and fats, but it's food that you enjoy and it's nourishing your soul, as soppy as that sounds. Thanks very much, guys, and I hope to see you soon.